Most people shopping for an AT tire are not building a trail-only toy. They are trying to make one truck or SUV handle commuting, bad weather, rough pavement, long highway stretches, and the occasional dirt road without turning every weekday drive into a punishment. That is where a lot of aggressive-looking tires start to lose their shine. They look perfect parked outside the house, then spend the next 6 months reminding you how loud, stiff, or vague they can feel on normal roads. When you dig into real owner feedback, a very different pattern starts showing up. The AT tires people stay happiest with are usually the ones that keep road noise under control, stay composed in heavy rain, wear evenly, and still give you enough traction when the pavement ends. In other words, the best daily driver AT tire is rarely the wildest one. It is the one that still feels like a smart decision on Monday morning. So if you want an AT tire for real life in 2026, this is where the conversation gets useful. The focus here is everyday satisfaction first, wet grip, ride comfort, winter confidence, treadwear, and the kind of owner feedback that still sounds positive after thousands of miles. Subscribe if you want more practical gear breakdowns like this, because starting at number 5, we begin with a tire that has built a reputation for being rugged, durable, and far easier to live with than its tough sidewall suggests. At number 5, the General Grabber A/TX makes a lot of sense for daily drivers who want a true truck-style all-terrain tire without jumping straight into something harsh or overly specialized. This tire has been around long enough to build a real ownership story, and that matters. A lot of newer tires sound promising in the first few months. The Grabber A/TX has years of feedback behind it, and that feedback still points in a reassuring direction. One of the biggest reasons is how much everyday logic General built into it. The company talks about comfort balance technology, low road noise, and long-lasting treadwear, while still giving the tire the 3-peak mountain snowflake rating. On the practical side, the warranty reaches 60,000 miles for metric sizes and 50,000 miles for LT and flotation sizes, plus a 45-day customer satisfaction trial. That is a strong ownership package for people who do not want to gamble on an expensive set of tires. The owner data helps the case even more. Tire Rack's consumer survey shows 96% recommended with about 14 million miles reported. And the scores stay especially healthy in wet traction, dry traction, winter traction, and treadwear. That amount of mileage matters because it suggests this is not just a niche favorite with a tiny sample size. A lot of people have lived with this tire for a long time and still come away positive. Where the Grabber A/TX feels most natural is on trucks and SUVs that see normal road duty most of the week, then gravel, snow, hunting roads, or weekend trips when life gets less tidy. It is not the quietest tire here, and newer competitors sound a little more polished on pavement. But if you want a durable, low-drama AT tire with real user backing, this one still deserves attention. And if you want even more highway polish without leaving the category, number 4 leans further in that direction. At number 4, the Continental TerrainContact A/T is the tire for drivers who want their truck or SUV to keep feeling civilized after the switch to all-terrain rubber. Right away, this tire stands out because Continental never tried to make it feel like a mini mud tire. The whole point is balance. You get enough dirt road and gravel road confidence to justify the AT badge, but the personality stays much closer to a refined daily driver. Continental's own language tells the story pretty clearly. The TerrainContact A/T uses Traction Plus technology, and the benefits the company emphasizes are strong, wet traction and a quiet, comfortable ride. That is exactly what a daily driver should care about. Continental also backs it with a 60,000-mile limited mileage warranty, a 60-day customer satisfaction trial, road hazard coverage, and roadside assistance under the Total Confidence Plan. That is a very mature ownership pitch, not just an aggressive tread pattern with big promises. Real user feedback lines up with that road-first identity. Tire Rack shows 95% recommended and about 8.6 million miles reported, with especially strong scores in wet traction, dry traction, comfort, and treadwear. The comfort score is especially important here because once an AT tire starts sending more vibration and tread hum through the cabin, the novelty wears off fast. The TerrainContact A/T avoids that problem better than most. The trade-off is also pretty clear. This is not the tire you buy because you want the most serious mud bite, the deepest snow confidence, or the toughest sidewall image in the group. It is the tire you buy because most of your life happens on pavement. And you still want an AT tire that feels grown up every day. For a lot of crossovers, SUVs, and half-ton trucks, that makes it one of the smartest choices in the category. But if you want something that feels more traditional, more rugged, and still surprisingly livable, number 3 takes a tougher route without forgetting daily use. At number 3, the BFGoodrich All-Terrain T/AKO 3 steps in for drivers who want a real off-road bloodline but do not want to keep living with the rougher, compromises, older, aggressive AT tires we're known for. That is what makes the KO3 interesting. It still carries the BFGoodrich name that truck and SUV owners trust for toughness, but the everyday story sounds meaningfully improved. BFGoodrich positions the KO3 as the next generation of its all-terrain icon, with stronger durability, improved wear, and traction in all weather conditions, including light snow. It also carries the 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol, and BFGoodrich says replacement market versions carry a 50,000-mile warranty along with a 60-day satisfaction guarantee. So even before you get into owner reactions, the official pitch is already broader than simple trail credibility. The owner feedback is what really changes the tone. Tire Rack currently shows 100% recommended with about 2.5 million miles reported, and the survey numbers are strong almost everywhere. Wet traction, dry traction, winter traction, comfort, and tread wear all come in excellent. The detail that stands out most is how often owners compare it favorably against the KO2 for road noise and ride quality. That matters because a lot of daily drivers love the KO2's toughness, but got tired of paying for it on pavement. The KO3 sounds much easier to live with. That does not mean it suddenly turns into a soft highway tire. It still looks and feels like a serious all-terrain. Heavier LT sizes can still ride firmer than more road-oriented choices, and if your life is 95% pavement, there are quieter options above and below it. But for daily drivers who still want genuine off-road credibility and year-round confidence, the KO3 is no longer just a legend from the dirt crowd. It is becoming a very believable everyday tire too. The next tire, though, sounds even more rounded. Once long-distance comfort and all-weather balance start carrying more weight. At number 2, the Toyo Open Country. A T3 feels like the tire that almost nobody regrets buying. It has the kind of personality daily drivers usually want from an AT tire. Confident but not exhausting, capable but not clumsy, and rugged enough to justify the category without acting like every trip to the grocery store is the first stage of an overland build. Toyo's official description leans into exactly that kind of balance. The company says the A/T3 was built for improved wet and dry performance, responsive on-road handling, severe winter capability, long tread life, and a quiet ride. The warranty supports the same message with 65,000 miles for P-metric and metric sizes, 50,000 miles for Euro C and LT sizes, plus Toyo's 500-mile trial offer. That makes the ownership story strong before you even look at a single customer review. Then the survey data shows why this tire stays near the top of so many shortlists. Tire Rack reports 97% recommended and about 7.8 million miles reported. Wet traction, dry traction, winter traction, comfort, and tread wear all score excellent. And the ride quality score is especially convincing for a true off-road all-terrain model. A lot of owners describe it in the same general way, more composed and more comfortable than they expected, without losing the all-terrain look and capability they wanted. There is one current caution that is worth saying out loud. In February 2026, Toyo announced a recall covering certain open country A/T3 sizes. So if this tire is on your shortlist, it is smart to verify the exact size and DOT information before purchase. That does not erase how good the tire is, but it is the kind of practical detail buyers should know. Even with that caveat, the open country A/T3 still feels like one of the safest all-around choices for people who daily drive their trucks and SUVs. It behaves like a tire that understands real life. Drivers who want a little more wet weather confidence and a little less compromise in the same broad use formula will probably keep looking toward one final option. At number 1, the Falken WildPeak. A/T4W looks like the clearest answer for daily drivers who want one AT tire that can handle almost everything without making everyday life worse. This is the kind of tire that keeps sounding stronger the more normal your use actually is. Commute in the morning, rain in the afternoon, cold weather later in the year, gravel or trail use on weekends. It keeps checking the boxes that matter most. Falken built the A/T4W to be more than a cosmetic update, and the official details back that up. The tire carries the 3-peak mountain snowflake symbol, offers up to a 65,000-mile limited tread life warranty on non-LT sizes and 60,000 miles on LT sizes, and adds road hazard protection, plus a 30-day ride guarantee. Falken also highlights full-depth sipes for winter traction through the life of the tire and a tougher casing strategy in heavy-duty sizes. So the product story is not just about aggressive styling. It is about trying to make a serious AT tire stay useful every single day. The real user side is what pushes it to the top. Tire Rack shows 98% recommended with roughly 3.4 million miles reported, and the survey numbers are excellent across wet traction, dry traction, winter traction, comfort, and tread wear. The wet scores are especially important for a daily driver recommendation, because that is where a lot of AT tires stop feeling clever. The A/T4W does not seem to fall into that trap. Owners also keep praising ride quality and overall confidence, which is exactly what you want when the tire is going to spend far more time on pavement than on rocks. It is not perfect. Some owners still mention a little road noise, and heavier duty sizes are never going to feel as effortless as a true highway tire, but that is the point. This is still an AT tire, and it still looks and works like one. The difference is that it gives up less to get there. For daily drivers, that matters more than one extreme headline strength. If you want an all-terrain tire that can deal with weather, mileage, road trips, and real off-pavement use without feeling like a compromise every time you leave your driveway, the Falken WildPeak A/T4W is the one to beat in 2026. So if you want the short version, the General Grabber A/TX is the dependable long-haul workhorse, the Continental TerrainContact A/T is the road manners specialist, the BFGoodrich K03 is the tough classic that got easier to daily drive, the Toyo Open Country A/T3 is the broad all-rounder, and the Falken WildPeak A/T4W feels like the best overall package for real life. The biggest mistake most people make is buying an AT tire for how it looks on day one instead of how it feels after 6 months of commuting, rain, cold starts, freeway noise, and weekend use. The right AT tire should make your truck or SUV feel more capable without making you tired of driving it. That is why owner feedback matters so much here. Once the miles pile up, the truth gets a lot harder to hide. If you want more real user buying guides without the usual hype, subscribe and stick around for the next one. And before you buy, double check your exact size, load range, and the kind of driving you actually do most often, because the smartest tire on paper is still the wrong tire if it does not match your routine. A lighter duty daily commuter and a heavily loaded half-ton can need very different versions of the same tire.